Southern California Hyundai dealer today.
1986, Laura Schroff was walking to work in New York. She passed an 11-year-old boy named Maurice who said he was hungry, and he asked her for some money to buy food. Well, Laura just kept walking. But then she stopped, walked back to Maurice, and she offered to take him to McDonald's for a burger. They talked. Maurice's mom was on drugs, his dad in a street gang. Laura knew that he needed more than just a meal that afternoon. And for the next 4 years, Laura and Maurice met every Monday for lunch. And today, after 26 years, they consider each other family. Their story is told in a remarkable new book called The Invisible Thread. Would you please welcome Laura Schroff and Maurice Mazyck. Thank you so much for being here, Laura and Maurice. This is one of the most touching and refreshing and inspiring stories that I have read in a long time. The book is fantastic. And I thought, if you made this up, I wouldn't have believed it. But it's a true story. You walk by this kid just a few blocks from our studio here in New York. And he says, I'd like some change. I'm hungry. And you walk on by, you turned around. Why? Why did you turn around?
I turned around because what resonated with me were the words, I'm hungry. I'd never seen an 11-year-old panhandler before. And so I just couldn't believe he said those words. So I went back and I said to him, you know what, we'll go to McDonald's. But you know, it's interesting. I think that our lives take us in directions, and sometimes there are no accidents. You know, when I was 25 years old, my mother died when she was 47, at a very young age. She was my rock. And what comforted me throughout my entire adult life was the fact that she was this angel that overlooked me and watched over me. And I absolutely believe that she knew that I needed something more in my life. And she knew that Maurice needed someone to care for him. And she brought us together.
You know, it's an amazing thing because you're talking about it from the standpoint of what Maurice did for you, even though most of us would, in reading the story, say, wow, Laura, what you did for Maurice. Had she just given you a couple of bucks and said, here, kid, go get something to eat, things would have been different, wouldn't they?
Definitely. If she had just given me a couple of bucks and said, hey, kid, go get something to eat, my whole life would be different. I grew up with a bunch of drug addicts and drug dealers. I live 2 blocks away from her, and my whole environment was drugs, violence, and chaos, and that's all I knew. But when I met Laura, my whole life changed, and it changed for the better.
Did you have a hard time thinking, this lady is actually going to take me to eat, and she's going to walk in Central Park with me, and she's going to take me to a place and buy me the first steak I've ever had in my life? I mean, what were you thinking as an 11-year-old boy in the same sweatpants that you wore all the time because it's all you had?
I thought that she was a godsend. I thought that, someone was looking over me to send me an angel. And that's what I believe. I believe the Lord sent me an angel when he sent me Laura.
No question. I mean, I think, as I read the story, and it's just so compelling. Laura, did you expect this to turn into a 26-year relationship? And at what point did you realize this is not just me taking a kid out to lunch?
Well, you never could imagine that when we met that day, that Maurice would not only change my life, but I would change his life. And that ultimately there would be such an incredible ripple effect to the point where his children today will never know from drugs and violence. Never could have imagined it.
Now, Maurice, you're now married. You've got how many children?
I have 7 children.
7 children, ranging from 6 to 21 years old. You have your own contracting business.
Yes, I have a small subcontracting business. And I'm doing pretty well as far as life is concerned. I just believe that love and happiness is the most pleasure you can get out of life, and that's what I have. I remember when Laura took me to her sister's house, and this is the point that my life had changed. Laura always asked me what was the greatest thing about her sister's house. Well, her sister had a lawn, and she had a backyard, basement, everything was in it, all types of toys and things. We went bike riding. But the one thing that stood out to me was the table. that her sister had. Her sister had a long table, and we sat down and we ate, and they shared love across that table with their family.
You've never seen that before, had you?
I'd never seen that before.
Had you ever had a meal with your family, your own parents?
Not on the table.
Never.
And the beauty about that is, from that point on, that was the first time I had ever dreamed about doing anything in life. And today I have a small apartment in Manhattan, and I don't have a living room. I have a dining room with a long table.
I love it. Well, with 7 kids, you need a long table, Maurice. There's a great story out of the book that was very touching. And Laura, you asked if you could help him have lunch at school, because, you know, that was something, it was the only meal you really got. But you wanted to have a lunch in a brown bag. Explain why that mattered to you, that it came in a brown bag.
Well, the reason why I believe that it came in a brown bag and it mattered to me is when I went to school, I'd often go to school and I see all the kids come in with their lunch in their brown paper bag, and for me, that I knew someone cared about them, and I knew someone loved them. They put time in to give them their lunch in a brown paper bag. And so Laura asked me one day that she said, I would give you money or I can make you lunch. And I told her, listen, I really don't want your money, but if you can put my lunch in a brown paper bag, it will make the world a difference for me, because someone would know, the kids would know when I come to school that someone cared about me.
Laura, what did that say to you when he said that?
It actually took my breath away.
Yeah, does mine hearing about it.
It took my breath away, but here I was, and this 11-year-old kid was teaching me things. He taught me the definition of lunch in a brown paper bag. The bag is only brown paper, but what you put into it is something we all call love. And he knew that he wanted lunch in a brown paper bag over money.
That is just...
It is one of the most touching stories in the book.
The book is called An Invisible Thread. Where did the title come from?
You know, it's an incredible story. I love this story because about a month before, my co-author and I, Alex Trzanowski, who's here today as well, we couldn't come up with a name. Every name I came up with, he didn't like, and every name I came up with, he didn't. And I had to go to Duane Reade to buy a birthday card. I was rushing. And I used to like to go to my local card store. And the next thing I knew, I had never bought a card in Duane Reade. I'm looking at this card, and it said, there's an old saying about an invisible thread that connects those that are destined to meet. And I opened up the card, and it said, I'm so happy you're in my life, and happy birthday. And I thought, oh my God, that is exactly the relationship that Maurice and I have. It's an invisible thread. I ran upstairs, I called Alex, I said, oh my God, I said, I've got the name. It's an invisible thread. And what's so interesting is I've received so many emails from so many people saying, I have this really special relationship with this person, but I've never known the definition of it. And basically what you've done with your book is define my relationship. We were meant to be in each other's lives. It wasn't an invisible thread that connected us. Yeah, it's...
Speaking of birthdays, at one of your birthdays, Maurice was there to offer a toast. It is very special. We have a little tape of it. Let's watch.
At that moment, she saved my life because I was going down the wrong road, the wrong hill. You know, my mother, bless her soul, my mother died. And my mother was on drugs at the time. And the Lord sent me an angel. And my angel is Lori, and I'm so glad that I'm at your 50th birthday.
Is that the best toast ever?
That is the best toast ever.
And do you know that when he came to the party, I said to him, oh, by the way, I said, very few people are going to make toast. I said, but I would love for you to make a toast. And like an hour later, he made that toast.
Well, it was absolutely fantastic. You ought to be the head of the Toastmasters. You were so good at it, Maurice. Thank you. God bless you for being here. What a wonderful and needed story for all of us to have here today on this new year.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. Maurice, thank you. Nearly 80% of Americans identify themselves as Christians. Coming up, you're going to meet a young man who says that Christianity and religion are two very different things. and he's got the internet buzzing with his videos. YouTube sensation Jeff Betke is next.